Alright, so now we're going to write a little bit of custom JQuery to have the filtering by category function. Alright, so basically we need to add a couple attributes. Okay, so first of all, our navigation here, we have our category name inside of a data rel attribute. Okay, I just want to add a class to these. Basically, we're going to have JQuery look at the class, and depending on which one is active, it's going to show those images. Alright, so view all, we want to add a class of filter, which we're going to do to all of these, and I'm going to add a class of active because when we go to the page, we want this to be the active one. Okay, so for these two, we just want to add filter as the class. Alright, now for the images themselves, we're actually going to deal with the links that are wrapped around the image, and we want to add another attribute here. Okay, so we want to add the data filter attribute. Alright, and then in here is where we're going to put the category. Okay, so we'll give image 1, we'll place it in the category 1 category. Alright, so let me just copy this, and we just want to add this to all of the images, or image links. Alright, and then I'm just going to say, we'll change this to category 2, 2, and 2. And another thing I noticed, this href here to JavaScript, we need to have a colon on the end of that for these 3 links, or things won't work right. Alright, so to add the jQuery, we're going to go up, and you want to make sure that you're still in this document.ready block, which ends here. Okay, so we want to go right above that. And don't worry if you don't understand some of this stuff. I know this isn't a jQuery course, and there's a lot of different things you could do to have this same effect. To have the categories. You could even just create a category 1.html, category 2.html, and have it go to that page with those images. But this is just a quick and easy way to get that kind of effect, but not have to use extra pages. Alright, so I'm going to use jQuery, and I want to grab the links that have the class of filter. Alright. I'm sorry, I don't want to do that. I want to say .on. So .on click. So when any link with the class of filter is clicked, I want to run a function. Alright, so actually let me just indent this. So what I can do here is pretty much anything that I want to happen when the link's clicked on. So let's just test it out and do an alert. Alright, so we'll say you clicked a filter link. Alright, and let me just return false so that it doesn't actually follow the page. Okay, so I'll save that, and then if I go and reload and I click on a link, you clicked a filter link. Okay. Now these images don't have the class of filter, so if I click those, that doesn't happen. Alright, so let me just get rid of this because we obviously don't want that. Now I'm going to create a variable called this and equal it to jQuery this. And if you've used other programming languages, then you may know what this is. It basically just means the current element. Alright, so if I click this link right here, then this variable is going to mean this link, okay? Instead of just referencing it by its class or whatever, we're just going to use this, okay? And you can't do it by class because they all have the class of filter. So you need a way to specify the link that you click, and that's what we're doing here. Alright, so let's say if if not this has class active, then we want to get the filter class, then filter dot remove class active. Basically what I'm doing here is saying that if we click on a link and it's not active, then remove the class from all filters and then add it. Now we're going to add it to the one we click. So right here I'm going to say this dot add class active. Okay, so this will set active tab. Now what we want to do is get the data rel attribute. Okay, so to do that, I'm gonna say filter. Whoops, what am I doing? Gotta go down here. Filter equals this dot data rel, and I should actually put var. Alright, so this right here, data rel, is how you can grab the content of this right here, data rel. Okay, we're putting that into a variable called filter. Now we need to check and see if data filter is set to all, and then if it is, then everything's going to be visible. If it's not, then we want to specify just the category, the images of that category. So let's see, we're going to say filter equals all, and this is basically a shorthand conditional. We can use the question mark, and we're going to say, let me just make sure that, let me just clarify that this is the end of the if statement, of this if statement. Alright, so here we're going to say dot fancy box dot attribute attr data fancy box group, which refers to this attribute here. Dot not visible. Basically, we're just resetting everything to the default, which is showing all images, and we're going to fade that in. All right, now else, then fancy box dot fade out. Okay, fade out, and then dot filter, and then we're going to run a function here, and we want to set the data filter value as the data rel value of the selected tab. So return this dot data filter is equal to the filter variable. Okay, so basically we want to match whatever the data rel is. If it's category 1, then we're going to match it to the images with the data filter of category 1. Now we want to show the filtered elements, so down here we're going to say attr fancy box group. Filter, and we want to fade that in. You don't have to use fade in. You could use you could just display it, just use show, but I think it looks a little better if we have a little fade. Alright, so let's give that a shot. Okay, so let me bring up the console. Unexpected token else on 35. Oh, this shouldn't actually say else. I wanted it to be a comment. Alright. So category 1, category 2. Okay, view all isn't going back. Let's see. 33 is not a function. Okay, I have not visible. I believe this should be double quotes here. Let me just try that. Huh. Oh, actually we need another parameter for this ATTR, which is going to be the group that we want. So gallery. There we go. Alright. So, I mean, if the JQuery confuses you a little, don't worry about it. There's other ways to have the category. Like I said, you could just use separate pages for your categories. But if you want to use something like this with the fade-in effect, then that JQuery code is probably the most minimal that you can find or that you can use, at least from my experience. So that brings us to the end. We now have a CSS/jQuery image gallery, which is responsive. Alright, so I'll see you in the next project.